Welcome to the Premier League Rundown, a weekly review of the Premier League action, and a lot to go through this episode. We'll start with the Friday game, Chelsea versus Fulham. It was, I think, 10th at the time versus 6th in Fulham. Chelsea 10th. Didn't expect that at the start of the season, did we? But it was a weird game. Chelsea, you can tell they've just been thrown together this transfer strategy. So many new players, a different manager from the start to the season for the last few years. So many new players. Enzo Fernandez starting this game as well. They had no cohesion whatsoever. There was Fulham defended well. Credit to Fulham. They defended well in that 4-4-1-1 shape, and they could have got something out of the game, maybe at points. But Chelsea, you can tell they had a lot of talent on the pitch, but it just couldn't work together. No one idea what the other players were good at, or the runs they'd make, or what runs to make at all. It's a very strange situation at Chelsea right now, and that showed on the pitch. They did pick up at times. They had the better shots, they had the better chances than Fulham, but with that amount of talent on the pitch, the £600 million they spent this season, you kind of expect that. Enzo Fernandez had a decent debut. It was really Kai Havertz who had the poor game, and Mykhailo Mudryk as well came off at half time. Apparently, he had a cold or something, but Havertz missed and then a couple chances in the first half. But they just didn't have anything to it. The formation didn't really make sense. Enzo as a lone six. I know they haven't got many midfielders right now, but it's not really. That's not him. He works in the two. Really, you want him and a defensive guy next to him. But maybe because they didn't have that really, he went for that three. But the three was they were so far apart. I remember Gary Neville said, I was thinking the same thing. Like, you see Enzo on the ball, Gallagher and Mount were so high up the pitch in that front five, and there were no runs to support him either. And he did well, Enzo. I think he's a very good player. You can tell that. Technically amazing. Little patches here and there where he got out-muscled and wrong passes, but you kind of expect that in his debut. But he held up quite well at times. But yeah, they couldn't have anything. Fulham played really well. João Palhinha really good. Tim Ream really good. Tete very good as well. Just didn't have the end product on them. They got into good positions a lot of times, but they just couldn't have that final pass. Really, they didn't have that in that team. Decordova Reed on one side. Yeah, he's an energetic player, but he hasn't got that end product to do anything fantastic. And I think a draw was probably a fair result considering how well Fulham defended. It could have been an easy game for Chelsea with all the talent they had, but they made the kind of talent redundant and made it into a game like, okay, you have the talent, but do you have the cohesiveness to beat us? And they proved they didn't. So really good from Fulham that game, and like I said, draws fair. Then 12:30 kickoff on the Saturday. Everton Arsenal, top of the league. Everton 19th at the time. No, top of the league Arsenal. Definitely not Everton. Top of the league Arsenal versus 19th Fulham for Everton. It's late, but everyone expected Arsenal to go in and probably ruin Dyche's, first game that usually happens. But Arsenal never got control of the game whatsoever. They really couldn't get a hold of the game. Every game this season, you see them for most of the game. They control it. They find these really good angles with the fullbacks, dart inside, and or the wingers dart inside and making room for the fullbacks on the outside, and then finding gaps in the middle, or if they spread open the midfield, the opposition spread open the midfield. But Everton didn't do that. They were very well structured. Dyche only had a few days, but he got them very well structured. That was the problem kind of under Lampard. Is when they did go defensive against teams, they were kind of hard to beat at times. You saw that Man City a couple of weeks ago. They did become hard to beat, and it'll probably attacking wise, they probably won't have the same fluidity and like they had against Arsenal in this game, but defensively they can still be the same, and they shut out one of the best attackers in the league quite easily. Tarkowski and Cody, two experienced centre backs, Coleman experienced at right back, very good. The midfield three of Onana, Gay, and Decore worked very well. Decore moving forward at times. The energetic physicality of that midfield is very good. Might not be the most technical midfield as well, but they got presence in there to be a defensive side. If you want them on the ball, that's not their specialities. But in transition, when making them to get the game, making the game physical, they made it that, and it went to their strengths. Dominic Calvert-Lewin's a threat there. If you said a year ago McNeil will be playing the ball from a corner into Tarkowski under Sean Dyche, you'd think it's Burnley, but it's under Everton, And they had so many more chances. They could have been 2 or 3 up at half time. Calvert-Lewin sliding, missing that. Doucouré missing the header. Just a couple of other opportunities. They worked in very good positions. And even in the second half, when they did get the goal, they weren't sitting deep. They were still like mid-block pressuring Arsenal at the pitch. It wasn't a full defensive performance. It wasn't 10 men behind the ball. It was a very productive performance by Everton. Arsenal never, held them back inside their own box for a period of time, really, at all. And you can see in the Arsenal players, they got frustrated. You can see the frustrations were coming out in like little scraps, but towards the end, Everton did a really good job on them. And this is probably the first game in the season. You go to Arsenal, you go, they didn't play well. Every other game this season, you could say Arsenal played very well today. They probably deserve to win. This is one of the first few games where Arsenal did deserve to win, and they didn't. And Everton did a very good job. Sean Dyche, if he can get the best out of his players, they will stay up because they have a lot of quality in their squad, but it hasn't come together over the last few years at all at Everton. But it came together in this game, and they got a great result against the league leaders. And then we'll move over to the 3 PMs. We'll first start with the 6-goal thriller, Aston Villa-Leicester. Two sides, mid-table-ish teams. Aston Villa came in with good form. They came in, under Emery. They defended well. They weren't, super productive, but they were getting results. But they just didn't play well at all. They were so open at times. It wasn't an Emery team. Maybe because they saw the opposition, they wanted to open up, but they didn't. They just opened up defensively. Ollie Watkins got the first goal, and then Maddison equalised, and Harry Souttar scored an own goal, and then Iheanacho scored, and Tete scored just for half-time to make it 3-1. But to make it 3-2 on me. By then, Leicester didn't really attack in the second half. It was more Aston Villa, but they weren't able to open them up really at all. And Dennis Pratt gets a late goal. But yeah, really good. Leicester are a completely different team in James Maddison in the side. He is so integral to their team. He's been one of the best. When fit, he's one of the best players in the Premier League. That's how good he is. And again, scoring a goal in this game, catching Iheanacho again, 2 assists as well, and a goal. He's probably going to be the main starter now. Jamie Vardy, hasn't been productive at all this season. Same with Daka. Daka's he's all athleticism. He has no real, productivity in him. Vardy, you can tell he's not used to being this slow. His speed's not getting him to places where he used to, and he's struggling to deal with that. So Iheanacho probably is going to be the main starter now. With Tete, would look decent. Harvey Barnes, he finally got out of his right. He's been really bad recently, but that's because James Maddison's next to him. James Maddison, very good player. Surprisingly, Leicester are very good with him, and that moved them. Leicester into 14th in the league. If they lost this game, they would have been closer, very close to the relegation zone. They would have been in and around there. So it's very good they did win this game. And then Aston Villa in 11th. They had the chance to go above Liverpool and they didn't take it. They've had the chance the last few games to go above Liverpool. Haven't been able to take it though. But I think Aston Villa will be fine with the result. They'll be fine. They're pushing for mid-table, and that's where they are right now. And Leicester, they're trying to get out of this relegation scrap because again, another 2 games and they could be in relegation. They just went 7 games without a win, Leicester. And now this win feels a bit big for their season. Getting the 4 goals as well. I know conceding 2 defensively has been their problem. But Christensen looked good. Harry Souttar looked good apart from the own goal. This could be a different second half season. They probably won't get into maybe the top half, but finishing 11th, 12th, being away from the relegation zone, getting things ready for next season, I think that will go down well. And Aston Villa, it's just a blip in the road, I think. I don't think they're going to be this bad. There were so many bad performances defensively. They were just so open at times, and I don't think Emery will allow that. Next game, Brentford versus Southampton. Brentford winning 3-0. That's 6 or 7 games unbeaten for them now. Since the World Cup, they've been really good. They'd used the World Cup perfectly, it seems, to work on tactics. And they're just such a good side. Every time they attack, it's with pace. There's so many runners off the ball. They work well together. They know what each other want. Defensively, they work well together as a unit. They don't concede too many chances. They're just such a good side. When the games are in transition, they're one of the deadliest sides in the league with Ivan Toney, Wissa, and Burma up front. Southampton had no chance, and Southampton, I don't like what Graham Jones is doing. To be honest, Luton is kind of known for this aggressive side. He said in his press conference, he said he's one of the most elite coaches in the world. I don't like him. He's not blaming himself. He's blaming the players. I don't like it. The Southampton team has no identity to it. They're not. It seems kind of like Leeds. They want to be proactive, but they just haven't got the players to do it, and they just don't do it. Even though that's the style that the manager wants. When the game's not in like transition, like when they've got possession, you don't feel like they can dominate possession. When they sit back, you feel like they're just going to concede chances. It doesn't look good for them right now. They're sitting rock bottom of the table. One win in the last 5. It looks like they're heading towards relegation. I don't think their January signings are. I think they were good signings, but I don't think they're the correct signings to get them out of a relegation battle. I think I like Sulemana. He's a very good dribbler. I like Onuachu. I think he's a presence there. Alcaraz, good youngster. Orsic, good player, but there might be a reason that other clubs haven't gone for him, probably. So I like the players, but I just don't think it works well together. I don't. And I don't see them getting out this way with Graham Jones there. I just don't like his style of management, that he's putting all the blame onto players and saying he's one of the most elite coaches in Europe, and he's had to make sacrifices for the team, and he's like, what? You knew what you're getting into. You're not going to be able to create a high pressing style mid-season in the Premier League with a team bottom of the table. I know he's able to do it loose on different budgets, on small budgets, but in the Championship it's a lot easier. Just get energy players, high press, aggressive players, and you'll probably be able to play that style. But in the Premier League, to be able to be that aggressive team, you not only athletes won't just do it, physicality won't just do it. You need so much more than that. So it doesn't look great for Southampton right now. Brentford, on the other hand, they look really good. 7th in the league, unbeaten in the last 7. They're above Chelsea. They're above Liverpool. They're a couple points of Brighton. You know, Europe is a possibility for them this season, and you see the two. I think Brentford and Brighton are the 2 best run clubs in the Premier League. They both have the style of, the data-driven styles, and you can see it working. I don't know how far up the table they can get with that style. You do have to make some compromises when you do get a hype that you just got to buy the best players, and you won't have time to bed in these players. But, they do it differently. Brentford do it through lower leagues. Brighton go out scouting in different continents, but they've shown that there is a way to do it, and I think other clubs down leagues are going to start doing this now. They're going to start trying to copy them. I know Brentford and Brighton, their owners they came from the same data group. Tony Bloom was friends with the Brentford owner, and they split up and they haven't talked since. And they had the same approach, and they're both in the Premier League, which is a very cool story. But I like both of them. And speaking of Brighton, we'll talk about their win over Brentford, which has them 6th in the league, 5 points off Tottenham with 2 games in hand as well. So they could go with 5th if they win their games in hand. They might go level Newcastle, but they also have 1 game in hand. So Brighton, again, another just a good display by them under De Zerbi. They're so good. The difference with under Potter is he kept changing it. He kept changing their style. Some games they were high press, some games they were low press, some games go 3 at the back, some games 5, sometimes 4, sometimes 4-3, sometimes 4-2-3-1. And yes, it worked. They were very good under Potter. But they're also very bad under Potter. Sometimes when he was just tinkering the team a lot, they went on sometimes barren runs. And yeah, it was weird sometimes. But under De Zerbi, they've been consistent. 4-2-3-1. This is the way we're playing. We're going to high press all the time. Doesn't matter the opposition. We're going to do it anyway. And the way they play possession football is amazing to watch. And Kara Matoma, the first time I saw him this season, I thought, I don't know who that is, but he's amazing. His dribbling is one of the best in the league, and he has the end product to do it. He's not one that. It's weird how different different dribbling is to what it used to be. Like in about 10 years ago, you think of a dribbler with like a Brazilian person or South American, and you think all they're skillful and stuff like that. But dribblers now have to be effective. It's like Messi isn't the most skillful player, but he's the most effective dribbler anyone's ever seen, because he just does what it needs to be done. And like Matoma, he just does what it needs to be done. He's not skillful with it. He's not trickery with it. He gets into the right positions. He knows which way his body needs to go. He knows which way defenders need to go, and he gets past them. But he didn't have to do dribbling to win this game. It was a header in the 87 minutes to win this game. And it was a very good performance by Brighton. They had multiple chances to score on his first ever start. He had a succession of like 3 shots inside the 6-yard box to score, and he couldn't. But Bournemouth, they're just Bournemouth, aren't they? They did shut them out. They did make them take some low quality shots. They created some chances of their own. It was Semeniano, who they just got from Bristol City. He had a very good opportunity, but he squandered it. Hamad Traore had a decent debut. You can see, I really like their January business. They got young, they got up and coming talent, and you can see, even if they go down, which they're likely they were going to go down anyway, you might as well get the young talent there whilst you can, whilst you got the money in the Premier League to do it. And they didn't do too badly. They did a lot better than I thought they would. I thought they might lose 2-3-0, but they lost 1-0 in the 87th minute, and it took Brighton one of the most informed teams in the league, a lot to beat them. So that's going to be good for them. Obviously, I would have preferred the draw or the win, but you got to look where they are, which is 19th in the table, and because all the people around them got some points, it looks a lot more dangerous for them now. They are a long time without a win. They haven't won, I think, since the restart. Maybe a change of manager might have to do now, because they hired O'Neill when he was on a bit of a purple patch, and now since that interim phase, and it hasn't gone well. And maybe a new manager is time. Maybe they probably should have pulled the trigger on Sean Dyche, but maybe they're seeing what other managers become available. Talking about managers doing very well is Erik ten Hag. Manchester United were very dominant in this game up until the 70th minute when Casemiro got sent off. To me, it wasn't a sending off. They showed the referee some angles where it does look like he's choking him. Some slow motion angles where it does look like he's choking him, especially with the gloves on. But if you look at the other angles, you can just tell he's grabbing him by the collar and dragging him away for about 2 seconds. That's all it was. For about 2 seconds, he's dragged him by the collar, and they find out they hug it out at the end. But they showed the referee a replay of him with the gloves on, slow motion, where he looks like he's grabbed him for 6 seconds and choking him out. So yeah, he's going to send him off. They didn't show him what Ayew did to, I can't remember which play it was. I think it was to Fred. He did worse. He actually did grab him by the throat, but they didn't show him that. It's these inconsistencies with VAR, which is very annoying to fans. What are you going to do? I think Man United should appeal it. Will they ever give him a further ban? Probably not. So I think they should really appeal. I think common sense should prevail, and even if it is, they do realise it probably still should be sent off. Maybe it turns down to a 1-game ban. I think that should probably be fair. Because again, he still took the risk of grabbing him by the collar. But if you just look at the football performance, very good performance by Man United. Bruno, very good. Lisandro Martinez, amazing. His partnership with Varane. Before the sending off, they were such in control of this game. Martinez and Varane, they complement each other so well. They get the best out of each other. Very, very good. That team goal for the second goal was very good. Crystal Palace, they had nothing in the first 70 minutes. In the last few minutes, they tried their best. They weren't really able to get any opportunities apart from their goal, which kind of came with a bit of luck. But yeah, Crystal Palace are struggling of late. They are 5 without a win in the last 5. You do expect a bit more from Crystal Palace with the players they've got, really. With like Elise, with the Eze, Zaha, what he was, out of this game. you do expect a bit more maybe from Palace at times, but that's it. They are where they are. They're 12th in the league. I think that's probably where they should be. But the thing is, you expect them with all the attacking talent, they have to be better attacking. They've got 19 goals and 21, but it's weird that way. You really think attacking players will probably be very good attacking wise, but also very bad defensively. But it's a bit of both really. They're not the best defensively. They do make games boring, but they're not, attacking football, which I don't know might lose Vieira's job if the defense does start to go. But I think they'll be fine with they. I think it's a fair result, Man United win, because they were dominant up until that point, and the red card was, if it was a red card for Casemiro, it probably should have been for Aye, so I think it's fair. And moving on to the last 3 p.m. Wolves versus Liverpool. Wolves 3, Liverpool 0. Liverpool found themselves 2-0 down after 12 minutes. As a United fan, I can laugh at that. But yeah, Liverpool, they just don't. Liverpool's whole style under Jurgen Klopp from the start was high energy players, high physicality players, and in midfield it was players that would protect their defence when their fullbacks bomb forward. And right now they're in a bit of a limbo where they don't have the physicality players anymore. They have more technical players, like when they're playing like Thiago and like Naby Keita and then Bajcetic in this game, but it also looked maybe like Harvey Elliott, and then the physicality players, which were Wijnaldum, Henderson. Wijnaldum's gone, Henderson's older, Milner's older. So they can't really do either style because they haven't got the technical players and the style with the technical players to play like a possession football. They don't do that. Klopp isn't that manager. He doesn't play possession-based football, so moving to this style is a bit different for him. It's not really working. So the fullbacks don't go as far forwards because the midfielders can't compensate for that anymore. So when they do go forward, they're lacking the options there. And when they lose the ball up the pitch now, they haven't got like 6 players up the pitch to win the ball back, and 6 players with physical attributes to win the ball back high up the pitch. They don't have that anymore. So it's all culminating in just a team that has no identity right now. Their press isn't working, their attack isn't working, their defence is just so leaky, they have no protection in front of them, they're missing Van Dijk as well. Just very bad performance. And Jurgen Klopp, I don't like what I'm seeing about him in press conferences either. He's not letting gentlemen to speak. He's saying Wolves' third goal doesn't count for some reason. Doesn't make sense, but if you look at it from a good Wolves performances, they're getting some good results now under Lopetegui. They moved out the relegation zone into 15th, 2 points above the relegation zone. I think they can start moving up the table, and they got the squad for it. Like, they've got a very good squad, Wolves. They have got a very good squad. They've got some quality players: Neves, Nunes, Cunha, Sarabia. Very good players. Very good players. So they can start maybe moving up the table now. Liverpool, you don't know where the results are going to come now. Like they're so easy to play against now. And now they're playing Everton, who I think maybe be able to do the same thing. They got the physicality to hurt them. Liverpool play a physical style without the physical players. So that Everton's physicality in midfield, which they showed against Arsenal, could really hurt them. Then they're also playing Newcastle after that. That's another very, very tricky game for them. Then they got Real Madrid, Crystal Palace. I think they should win. Man United again, very difficult game. Bournemouth, they should win. Real Madrid again. And then Fulham, City, Liverpool, Leeds, Forest. They've got so many there's so many difficult fixtures in Premier League now. 1 through 20. It's a very hard league right now, and when you are in that mode of we don't know what we're doing, nothing seems to be working, they could find themselves very far down the table that it doesn't fix up. Their midfield is so bad right now. Bajcetic, I know he's young. I know Klopp seems to like him, but he's not good. He's not right. In the future, he could be very good, but right now, the team is so open with him in the pitch. Fabinho, I understand he's not in good form, but he's just got to start playing him over Bajcetic. he gets involved more than Fabinho, but positionally he's not very good right now, and it doesn't it doesn't look good for them right now, and it could get worse, but Europe it should be out of the question probably for them right now, but definitely Champions League probably out of the question for them right now, but Europa Conference League, Europa League, they still should be able to get it if they turn the season around. But another player, one more player I want to talk about, then, and it's Mo Salah. What's he up to? He signed that massive contract, but he started the season well. Like most seasons, he usually scores a few goals. He's playing that well, but he scores the goals. But right now, he's not scoring the goals. It's 5 games without a goal, and the performances aren't there either. Even when he was scoring, the performances weren't that good. It's not looking well for Liverpool right now. The decisions everyone's making around the club, the signings, Cody Gakpo. What? He needed midfielders. Get midfielders in. Wolves just bought 2 midfielders that would easily improve them, with João Gomez and Mario Lemina. They would look probably decent in Liverpool right now, but they went for Cody Gakpo in a position they didn't really need. Alright, doesn't make sense, but let's move on. Newcastle West Ham. I think a draw, 1-1 draw, was a fair result in this game. You know, the first half, nothing really happened, but it was when the goals came. You know, Callum Wilson scoring early. You know, Willock got the goal as well, but Wilson came through bad defending by West Ham. They had no pressure on the ball, and they were so open, allowing Wilson through. Paqueta got his goal from a corner. But again, no one really had control of the game. Newcastle has controlled most games they've been involved in the last few weeks, months. But they didn't get control into this game until later on when West Ham started to sit back, wanting a draw because it's a big draw for them. They needed a draw, they needed results. And they were able to do it. Newcastle weren't really able to get any real opportunities towards the end. West Ham defended well. West Ham still 16th in the league. Attacking wise, there's so much potential in that squad. This is what David Moyes. I don't know why they've kept hold of him. I'd much prefer a front foot manager because their squad is just as good as Newcastle's. If you look at some of the players they've got, Agard, Declan Rice, Paqueta, Bowen, Scamacca when he's fit. There's so many good players in this West Ham squad. I don't know how Moyes is not getting the best out of it, and he's just not. Like last season, the season before, they defended very well. It wasn't like deep defending. They weren't always defending deep, but so many mistakes individually, but also collectively. It's not what David Moyes has shown with West Ham those last few years. It's a very strange what's happened to West Ham recently. And yeah, they're Newcastle now, still unbeaten in the league since that Liverpool game. 10 wins, 10 draws in the league. They've moved down to 4th in the table because Man United won. They're still above Tottenham with a game in hand, so that's good for their top 4 race, but they're starting to not win games right now, and you don't want to get into that rhythm of not winning games and suddenly you start losing games, you start to draw. So at least they're drawing games right now, but you don't want to start losing games that you deserve to draw. That could be a hole they get into soon. But again, they're still solid. They didn't allow too many chances from West Ham. It was just they weren't very, attacking wise. It could still just be a hangover from getting to the cup final. That's understandable probably. I think a draw was a fair result, and I don't think it's either side could probably argue that. Now Nottingham Forest versus Leeds United. Nottingham Forest winning the game 1-0. They didn't have to do much really. Leeds, they controlled the game in a sense that Nottingham Forest didn't attack that much, but they weren't able to do anything with the ball. Leeds, every game I see Leeds play, like they should be drawing probably or winning, but they never do. They never do. They're not. Like I said with Southampton, unless the game's absolutely wild in transition, they're not a very good side. In possession, they haven't got the players to do anything really. Like Mark Rocker and Tyler Adams, they're combative midfielders, but Rocker probably a bit more better with the ball than Adams, but not going to make any good passes in tight defences, are they? Since they're Harrison and Nonto, there's not really creativity there. Like they're all good dribblers. Harrison got a good shot in, but they're not going to create much, are they? Stroik and Ayling at wing backs. Again, they're just solid defensive more wing backs. So there's no creativity there. So when they do a possession, you're not really you're not that scared of them really, unless one of the dribblers get past another player. But then again, the end product is still not that great. Bamford up front, first start in ages. You can tell that is very rusty. But yeah, Forest, they got the goal. Great goal by Brennan Johnson, by the way. They just didn't do much. They didn't have to sit all the way back. They just sat in the mid block and just like do something. And Leeds couldn't. They just couldn't create any chances. And they're getting to decent areas, and you'd be like, oh, that pass, that touch, and it keeps happening. So Jesse Marsh has to be careful with the team because they're sitting joint level with Everton in the relegation zone. They got the game in hand, which can move them into 15th above Wolves. So that's something, but the game in hand is on Wednesday against Man United. So a lot likelihood they're probably not going to get that. And then they play Man United again. So Jesse Marsh has to be careful because they're sleepwalking into relegation. And the Leeds board, they backed him. They spent so much money. So much money on this new squad. It has to work this season. They can't get relegated. And it wouldn't surprise me if Jesse Marsh has gone in a few games and they get a new manager because he's not getting the best out of them right now. And he hasn't really implemented his style. You expect Jesse Marsh, high pressing, high intensity style, and they're not really that. They play long balls, but they're not all that. With Marsh, it's usually with the game press you get like 2, 3 or 5, like you get about 5 players in midfield, and you just hit the ball in midfield and get the ball, in fast paced into midfield. It'll bounce around. You'll win the second balls because you've got all them players in there, and you'll work out. But in the Premier League, it's not really working. You got to be a bit more possession based because if you want to do that, so you've got to be a bit more possession based because they're just Premier League players are too good for that. They're able to control the balls, which other players might not be able to. So again, it's just not working. Jurgen Klopp had this problem. You have to be a bit more possession based if you want to win games, and on the ball they're just not very good. On the ball he's very good, but they're not doing well is Man City. They've lost to Tottenham. They couldn't capitalise on Arsenal losing. So they're still 5 points off them and they've played a game more. City, I don't know what it is about City, but they changed their style to this three at the back system with the Lewis going inside, and you had Bernardo Silva ahead, and you got Alvarez and Haaland up front, and it doesn't seem to work in transition. They're so bad defensively. Tottenham caught them on so many counters. If they had better end product with Kulusevski and Son and Kane, they could have scored 3 or 4 goals on the counter, but they just didn't. They didn't do too well on the counters. They made a few mistakes. They didn't take the right decision, but it just took the goal to do it. And City weren't able to really create much. Haaland didn't have a single shot. I like Lewis. I like Rico Lewis. He's for an 18-year-old. He's very good. He plays that position really well. Gets on the ball, but I also don't like how much he's on the ball. You can't have an 18-year-old on the ball that much in a side that wants to win the title. You just can't. That's too much responsibility for him. And then dropping De Bruyne as well and Gundogan. What are you doing? Why? What is Pep doing? He's overthinking it again. He's losing the title and he's overthought it, and he's not getting the best out of his team because of it. Just go back to your simple ways. And I think it's Haaland that's doing this to him. He's used to players. His best 11 be 11 midfielders, and Haaland, he just doesn't know how to use strikers. Pep, he really doesn't. And he's Pep's to blame. It's also the players. They had so many opportunities to play him in. Haaland made so many good runs, but they just didn't play him in so many times. There's just passes over the top where Haaland's through and they can't find it. There's so little times where Haaland is the guy running in behind and gets the ball. Saw it in Dortmund so many times in transition. He's electric, but they're not getting it to him. And the opportunities are there. It's not like the opportunities in there like the defences are sitting so far back. There are opportunities there to be had. Tottenham weren't camped in the area for long periods of the game again. But City weren't able to do that. They weren't able to break them down at all. They weren't able to pin them back. And that's because up front they have a guy who's not that good in possession. So it's very weird what's happening with City right now. It's just that transition defensively. They need to sort that out. Whether that is changing possession shape, I don't know. But Harry Kane scored the goal, broke the Tottenham record for most goals, 267, got to his 200th Premier League goal as well. Good for him. But Tottenham, without Conte as well, that's probably quite nice for him to have that as well. But yeah, Tottenham move fifth. Well, they didn't move anywhere. They're fifth in the league. They played more games than anyone else, so probably helped a bit. But at a point from Newcastle, 3 points from Man United, they played the game more than them, but they're even around there in the top four fight. How is Conte's absence going to hinder them? Maybe against teams they're supposed to be. Maybe that's where they might struggle. That's where the adjustments really happen in them games. But yeah, good performance by Tottenham. They definitely deserve to win the game. Man City, just flat again, very flat. They've been like this since the break happened, losing to United, losing to Southampton, drawing with Everton, beating Arsenal reserves. It took a lucky Ake goal to do that. It's just very weird what's happening to Man City right now with Cancelo leaving as well, not replacing him. Haaland is not the striker Pep wants right now. Alvarez playing a two up front. It doesn't make sense. But yeah, that's going to be the end of the video. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. See you next week.